going on, everyone? Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome in to another episode of the Triple Play Fantasy Baseball Show, a proud member of Underdog and the Underdog Fantasy family. And if you want to go check out Underdog Fantasy, you can go do so on your iPhone, on your smartphone, on your computer. Just go and click the wrong background. But if you go and check out over Underdog Fantasy, use code TRIPLE, you'll be able to get a 100% deposit match up to $100. That goes for any sport that they offer over there. Again, fantasy baseball drafts during the off season. You could do fantasy basketball. You can do fantasy football. Ton of great stuff over at Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you check them out. Back with you guys tonight. Another few week break here, but we are here. We got a little cheesecake in the house tonight. And cheesecake, I got to say, man, the topic I think is going to be very relevant to a lot of people that have been creeping, looking at drafts. We've got 18 done so far on the NFBC. These hitters we're talking about tonight are really interesting.
Yeah, they are really interesting. I'm doing my first draft right now. I couldn't hold off any longer.
Oh, you dog you.
You start to see you got a little bit of winnings left in your NFBC that they don't give you money. They say, "Hey, you got an account here," and you're like, "Well, I could just spend from my account. That's easy, right?"
What type of draft did you do?
I did an NFBC 50. It's a 12-team 50-round draft and hold. And it's been a lot of fun. It's getting me back into the player prep. Of course, doing the shows like tonight, it's getting me back into the player prep, getting me ready for our position previews coming up in a month.
That's right. It's already around the corner. The new year means we'll be really getting into the next season grind. But we're still here kind of reviewing things. And I couldn't think of anybody better here, especially someone that knows a lot of the prospects. Of course, if you're on YouTube, you see the guy. But joining the podcast tonight, we welcome in a man that is the only farm I like to be around these days. He brings you prospect evaluations and rankings. He also is part of the Call Up, which is the Triple Play Fantasy Prospect Show. He's also the conductor of the Jefferson Cuero and Moises Ballesteros type trains. The time traveler himself, Vinny, is in the house tonight. What's up, man?
Not much. It's so interesting. Fast forward, a year, and then we go back a year. These guys are like, "Oh, are they going to break camp? Oh, are they going to see the majors this year?" It's awesome to check back in a year later. And some of these, like one of the guys we're going to talk about tonight, I had no clue who he was before tonight. So, which
blew my mind because to slip one past you is pretty difficult. So I will be interested to hear what you have to say about him because I know you dug in on him a lot after we discussed he was going to be on the rundown here. But there's a lot of great guys on the show tonight because if you guys were with us a few weeks ago, we talked about pitching with Nick Pollock, and we tonight wanted to attack the other side of the ball. We wanted to talk hitting, specifically second half hitting studs. And these could have been the guys that had hype going into the season that maybe flamed out and then caught fire at the end. These could be guys that were nobodies and then became somebodies. These are guys that could potentially be Rookie of the Year candidates next year or World Series heroes from this year. There's a lot of different kind of areas we hit with these guys, but what all of them have in common is they all did something in the second half that was very notable. And I felt like the first guy we had to talk about tonight, the cover boy on YouTube, the guy that really made his mark known in the MLB playoffs, we got the World Series champ, Evan Carter, who finished the year with a 306, 413, 645 triple slash, had 5 homers, 12 RBIs, and 3 steals. He went across 3 levels overall in 2023 before he ended up getting to the major leagues. Hit 288 across those 3 levels with 17 doubles, 6 triples, 13 homers, and 67 RBIs with 26 steals. But the other thing that's really interesting to me, he struck out 111 times, walked 81 in a combined 513 plate appearances. And my neighbor, shout out to my buddy here, Matt Festa, who he calls him the full count Carter. And rightfully so. If you watched him in the playoffs, this man was working counts. He looked like the exact type of hitter I would hate to pitch against. And in the World Series and throughout all the playoffs, he showed up. 17 games, a 300, 417, 500 triple slash. He had a homer, 6 RBIs, stole 3 bases, did not get caught stealing. And just some extra stats for you guys. 18 hits, ranked 7th all-time for a rookie in a postseason. His 10 walks were tied with Crank Counsell for the most ever by a rookie in a postseason. His 9 doubles were most all time in a single postseason. This guy is just absolutely phenomenal. And Vinny, I know we talked about him a lot on the call up before. Just please, for those that might not have known what Evan Carter did, please just educate us a little bit about his background here.
Yeah, Evan Carter just basically showed us that any doubts of upside we had with him are out the window. We're talking about a guy that came up at the first week of September and has never cooled off all the way up to the World Series. Like, looking at some of his stats right now, like, we're talking about a 10% barrel rate, 46.2% hard hit rate, an 8.5 speed rating, which I don't recall Evan Carter being this much of a speedster. It could just be short sample size to it. But a 180 WRC plus. There's some concerning, stats, a 32% K percentage, but it's short sample size, 59% pull rate. Something to watch, but he is a left-handed hitter. But he almost gave off like Kyle Tucker-esque vibes when he came up. Like, this is a guy, right now, there's no way he's not the favorite to win AL of the Rookie Year next year. He might have similar odds to what Corbin Carroll had this year, but it is going to be a tough race depending on who else joins the fold with him and Junior Caminero. But I covered him on the call up, the episode he got called up, and I basically called him out saying there was no upside with him and he's going to be a floor player. And then he just goes and absolutely burns my face off. So, I'll take that one with a little grain of salt, but man, Evan Carter looks like he's going to be potentially the next face of the Texas Rangers. Like, he's a stud. There's not much more to say.
Yeah, he looked every bit in pretty much a pro hitter. You're in the tensest environment you could have in baseball: October baseball, playoff baseball, World Series baseball. He sits there, he's just calm, man. You see his at bats against Zack Gelof, hit multiple doubles off of him, and he just would work the count every single time. He would take pitches close to the zone, wouldn't chase. I know Gelof. I remember game 1. I'm watching with my buddy Matt, who I mentioned, and we're just watching at the bar, and he just spits on every single pitch around the strike zone and just waits for his pitch and just laces doubles. Like, this guy looks like a professional hitter already. I was just blown away. And Matt was like, he was saying, he's like, man, this guy's on my dynasty team. Like, he's showing out right now. And it's like any Evan Carter dynasty manager is going to feel extremely stacked to have this guy. Or I do want to hear your thoughts in 1 second. I just do want to ask Vinny really quick. If you have Evan Carter in dynasty right now, are you trying to sell him for a king's ransom, or to you, is he untouchable?
It would depend on what you're giving up, but I would say he's pretty near untouchable. Like, he's a rookie, but how he approached at bats in the playoffs he was very aggressive, but it wasn't the kind of aggressive that you get bit by. He was calculated in the box, and he was waiting for his pitches, taking the ones he didn't want, and he was doing damage when he got his pitch. Like, he's showing the type of awareness of a 10-year vet, and he has less than a month and a half in the majors. Like, this is something you build off of, and he could become even better after a full season next year. Like, this is a scary talent, and I think you need to hold on to it.
The AL Rookie of the Year favorite probably for 2024. LC, anything you would like to add on Evan Carter, but I know Vinny and I have been gushing over him for about 5 minutes.
I was surprised. I looked at Evan Carter and, clearly he was, as Vinny said, he didn't cool down his entire time in the bigs. He had a 4.12 BABIP when he was in the major leagues. And that was, that really helped. The 32% K rate helped him pull that batting average up, because he only had a 77% zone contact rate, well below league average. His home run per fly ball was incredibly high. All of these are sort of signs of a hot streak. And so for me, I don't want to pour ice cold water, on the party, but I do want to caution that we did see an incredible hot streak there, and his minor league numbers did not show the strikeouts, the 32% Ks. I don't think he's going to settle in as a 30% K guy. His walk rate's always been very good, as you said.
Mhm.
His minor league numbers were in the 20 to 30% K rate. So I would think that as he gets settled in, clearly that 412 BABIP's going to come down. The Ks are going to come down too with that, though, as well. So I think that next year you might see a little bit of a settling in season before he really comes through. I don't think he's going to. I could project him for more than like 20 home runs because of that extremely high home run per fly ball. He only hit 18% fly balls last season. And had like a 35% home run per fly ball rating, which is just out of this world. So like maybe he's streaky and will give you these streaks, but like I would caution to look at this, how he finished the season and say, wow, this is who we have here. I think this was an incredible hot streak, and I wonder over the rigor of a 162 game season how well he holds up. That's what I would wonder.
Well, as we mentioned, I'm sure we'll touch on most of the offseason NFBC ADP. Right now, there's been 18 drafts. He's going at ADP right now, 139. What I thought was kind of interesting is they have Wyatt Langford going ahead of him, going around ADP 135. Would you rather have Wyatt Langford or Evan Carter in redraft next year?
I would rather have Carter right now because Langford, short sample size, he was pretty much rushed to AAA this year. I don't think he spent more than like maybe 20 games at each level. So it's kind of not a long enough track record yet for me to be confident in Langford. I would say Langford, if we're talking about future-wise, dynasty, he probably has more upside than Carter, especially power-wise, power speed. But a 21-year-old Evan Carter, what he did this season should be right around where he's ranked. He's done some spectacular stuff.
And right now, again, ADP 139. I would not be shocked if he gets closer to touching the top 100 by the time we get closer to the season, especially if we hear positive reports going into the year. He's one of those guys I think that's going to shoot up draft boards to maybe something more like what we saw with Jordan Walker. And that's one of the advantages of drafting early is I don't think the rest of everybody's kind of caught up with everything yet, even though it is NFBC, which is a very competitive platform. I would be shocked if his ADP does not go up at some point. So we'll see with that. But somebody that's right near him in ADP, actually within about 10 picks right after, is Zack Gelof of the Oakland Athletics. 14 homers, 42 RBIs, 14 stolen bases last season. Very solid hitter last year. I think that was the way to describe him, was solid. He didn't debut until mid-July, but after his debut, he ranked 5th among primary second basemen with a 840 OPS, minimum 300 plate appearances. And he sprayed the ball to all fields in his rookie season. If you look at his splits, it's right in line with the major league average in pull rate, in opposite field, in center field, or just up the middle. So he was spraying the ball across all fields. He maintained a 10% barrel rate, which is one of the better rates in baseball. Strikeouts potentially a concern, 27% in his rookie year. He also struggled to be able to make contact in the zone consistently. That's something that we'll have to keep an eye on. He got an above average swinging strike rate, but he seems like he's a safe 2020 guy in a full season, especially in an Oakland A's lineup that lacks a lot of talent right now, LC. Is Zack Gelof somebody you're going to be looking towards? You get to around pick 150 in your draft and he just kind of plugs a hole for you. You don't think about it too much.
I think if I don't have batting average concerns, I do like him for my team. I think he's a 2020 type of guy. I think when on the season this year, he went 26-34, if you count his AAA plus major league numbers, 14-14 in the bigs. I really liked what I heard him say in an interview with Eno Saris earlier this year, where he says, he's not trying to get the higher exit velocities. He's trying to maintain consistently strong exit velocities. He says, if I hit it 106 to left center, that's going out in every ballpark at the right launch angle. He's like, I'm not trying to, if I try to get to 110, that might mess my swing up. I want to keep my swing good. I really liked when he said that. I thought that was a good outlook. But you're right about that swinging strike rate. I think we could see a low batting average floor in the 230s, perhaps. But he could maintain that high BABIP that he maintained this year, especially because he has some good wheels.
He does. And again, I think as long as the strikeouts are held in check, he is somebody that's going to be giving you basically a 2020 type of year, which is been very valuable in fantasy. And again, yeah, like is the batting average probably not going to be 267? His expected batting average last year was 236. Obviously inflated by a little bit of a higher BABIP. So yeah, maybe he's a 240, 250 hitter, but again, 2020 will play. And once that Z contact hopefully gets a little bit better, you can see the ball in the zone better. That's going to be a huge for him. Vinny, what are your thoughts on Zack Gelof?
Well, if you guys have been listening for a while, if you listen to our World Baseball Classic episode,
yeah,
I pretty much called his stat line for this year. I said he's probably going to be 15, 20 home runs, 270 hitter. 14 home runs, 267. I'll take the win on that one. But we're talking about a guy that's should be viewed as like a great value Jonathan India, like a guy that has wheels and has good power, the best player on that team by far, which is, not something to really brag about, but still, like, it's a small sample size with Gelof. And I even with the swinging strike concerns, like there's a world that he could easily end next year a 275 hitter with 22 home runs and 35 steals, especially when he's going to be the guy on Oakland. I think he's going to be one of these guys that are underrated going into drafts this year just because he's on Oakland, but I think he's going to outplay wherever he gets drafted this year.
Yeah, and again, I did kind of touch on the ADP right now. He is going right. I mean, we talked about, where did I have? He was in the one. Yeah, so Evan Carter was going 139. Zack Gelof is going also 139. It's separated by decimal points at this point. So they're kind of going in the same range, which is interesting. This part of the draft just seems like there's a lot of interesting hitters. You have also Anthony Volpe here. You have obviously some guys that have more of a proven track record. Anthony Santander, we kind of know what we're getting from him. Interesting. CES is in this range as well. So I feel like this could be a point in your draft where you could make or break your draft with some taking shots on some of these guys. So it will be interesting to see. The next player here is someone we talked pre-show who would probably have won Rookie of the Year had he done this all season. But Tristan Casas really started showing things specifically closer to the second half of the season. I want to shout out Eric Cross because he put this stat out here and kind of saved me some of the time of researching the exact stats from this point. But July 8th to the end of the season, that's 216 plate appearances. Tristan Casas hit 319, 417, 622 with 15 home runs, a 13.9% walk rate, and a 23.6% K rate. Those are outstanding numbers from first base. Maybe the power is 15 home runs doesn't get you giddy, but a nearly 14% walk rate and under 24% strikeout rate will play. And his ranks among first basemen with 100 plus plate appearances from that point. He was tied for fourth in average, tied for fourth in OBP, second in slugging, second in WOBA, second in WRC plus. So he was one of the best first basemen pretty much the second half of the year. And the season long numbers, 24 homers, a 65 RBIs with a 263 batting average. Like, he was really good last year. And I think we lost track because he was so putrid the first month of the season, hitting under 200. This guy was a flat out stud at first base, corner, infield, wherever you were playing him. And he's going to be somebody that I think is going to be a nice value at first base next season. What are you thinking, Vinny?
I don't know. I think when people start digging into the data as we get deeper into the offseason, I think he's probably going to be one of these guys that spike. It's kind of a cop-out to compare him to like Vinny Pasquantino of this year, but I think he's going to be more valuable and more sought after. Like, we're talking about a max EV of 113.2, an average EV of 91.1, a 46.2% hard hit rate. Like, he barreled up baseballs towards the second half of the season. And with him being such a pull lefty hitter in Fenway alone, like there is massive upside to that too. And, you know, if you're looking at his spray chart, he's very consistent too. Like there's not one side of the field he chooses. Like he's pretty flat around the board. Like this could be a guy that drops 30 home runs next season. And we're like, oh, wow, why were we so down on Tristan Casas last year? Like he has that kind of power and the hit tool with it too. He's not a speedster. He's limited to first base. I would say by February, he's probably inside of like the top 10 first basemen as we start drafting. Like this is a guy that if you're playing Dynasty right now, try to go get him now. Like before everyone starts getting drafts in, starts looking deeper and deeper into him, go get him now, because this is a guy that could potentially, we're talking 2-3 years from now, like the first baseman in fantasy baseball.
Where do you think now he's ranked among first basemen in drafts, if you had to guess a number?
I'd say probably anywhere, probably 15.
What do you think, LC?
I think he's about 10.
You're correct. He's 10th right now. ADP just outside the top 100. So it'll be interesting when we do our, position previews if he stays there, because the value at first base is insane. Freddie Freeman, Bryce Harper, Matt Olson, Pete Alonso, Vlad Guerrero are the top 5. But if you don't get a top 5 first baseman, there's Cody Bellinger, Paul Goldschmidt, Christian Walker, Spencer Steer, who right now is ranked ahead of him. I don't think that will last. And Tristan Casas. Then you have someone like Spencer Torkelson that goes right after Tristan Casas. Also Yandy Diaz, who was so solid this year. There's pretty much, I would say 10 to 11-ish solid first basemen this year. Let me ask you guys, would you rather have Tristan Casas or Christian Walker next year?
Tristan Casas.
Yeah, I think I'd go with Casas. Although Walker's consistent. I like Casas. And one of the reasons why his walk rate, plus I see the power growth that Vinny was talking about. That walk rate's going to help have his run totals be good. His counting stats are going to be really good. The person who I like to do a Pepsi challenge with the two is Spencer Torkelson, because I really like Torque.
Is that what it's called? A Pepsi challenge?
Well, no, Pepsi challenge is which one do you like better in a blind taste test? That's the Pepsi challenge.
That's how we're going to refer to player comparisons now?
No,
I like it.
Yeah, but I think Torque versus Casas is a good question, because Torque had a little breakout season, and Torque actually showed better batted ball numbers. Although playing in Detroit might be the downside on him, but I like Torque. I like Torque as well, and so I think Torque or Casas. I think that's a nice target area for a first baseman. Mm-hmm. Also, CES going a little bit later. I'm not sure. I kind of like him too.
There's definitely a lot of value in waiting. Yeah. I will say the one thing Casas has to make sure to improve on, it was only 49 plate appearances last year, but he hit 238 with a 61.5% hard hit rate and against lefties in the second half with a 33% strikeout rate. So he is that, facing lefties, he will have to get better against. That is something that if you could poke a hole in his game right now, that definitely seems to be the case. So I would think someone of his caliber, that'll be something he'll be working on, and he's going to have the chances to play every day. I don't see him as being a platoon player. I just think it's just fun to also remember the times when Bobby Dahlbeck was blocking him at first base. You remember those times? Is Bobby Dahlbeck still on the Red Sox?
I don't believe so.
Where is Bobby Dahlbeck? But if you're listening to the podcast right now, I want you to pause the podcast and see if you can guess where he is, because I have no idea where he is right now.
They put him at shortstop part of the season, didn't they?
Shortstop?
Didn't they play him some shortstop this year?
I thought that was maybe that was the year before, I thought.
Or was it?
I think I remember that game, actually, now that you say that. Yeah, it was 2 years ago, I think. Bobby Dahlbeck.
He is still a part of the Red Sox, but they have him listed as an outfielder.
That's what I just saw. Yeah, Red Sox outfielder.
Yeah.
Bobby Dahlbeck. What do you think his ADP is right now?
much free.
Yeah, free.
If you want
500.
Bobby Dahlbeck, you only have to spend the 678th pick on him.
That's if he makes it past training camp. So
He actually is ranked in the same range as Joey Votto and Joey Gallo, believe it or not. I'm actually surprised there are some major league hitters that are in his range right now. Pretty wild stuff there for Bobby Dahlbeck.
To be in the same category as Joey Votto and not Joey Votto, but Joey Gallo is not something to look forward to at all.
Yeah, they're just praying Votto doesn't retire with that draft pick.
he just did a video thanking the Reds. So it seems like he wants to play. He didn't announce his retirement. So obviously a team has to sign him, but I think if it's up to him, he's playing next year. So, well, let's move from that and let's talk about a Triple Play podcast favorite, Davis Schneider, who last year hit 276, 404, 603, 8 homers, 20 RBIs, and 1 steal. Over his first 15 games, this was a 62 plate appearance sample. He had 6 home runs, 21 hits, 15 RBIs, 10 walks to 15 strikeouts, hit over 400 with a 1379 OPS, a 1.6 FWAR, and he was the first player to have that type of OPS through his first 15 games, a 1358 OPS through his first 20 games. The best in the modern era, minimum 70 plate appearances. After this crazy start, though, he had a 9-game hitless streak, which really plummeted his numbers. He didn't play every day. He did on the last day of the season have a double and 2 walks. So if you want to say he ended the year on a somewhat better note, but Davis Schneider looked like from someone who's going to be a slam dunk next year to really struggling down the stretch to kind of where we're not sure where we're at with him right now. So Elsie, where do you see Davis Schneider being next year? Does he slot in the lineup every day, and is he someone that can contribute for your fantasy team?
I think that I'm concerned whether he slots into that Toronto lineup next year. I think he's currently projected as a starting second baseman, but you saw that, the Jekyll and Hyde performance that you just laid out there so well. The K's were bad. His zone contact rate was 68%, which is worse than Javi Baez levels type of zone contact, worse than Joey Gallo level zone contact. But the hot streaks are legit. I mean, I'm trying to pull out my personal biases because I picked him up after he went hot and got his September numbers on my team. So, but he was so bad in September and October that I have a hard time thinking that Toronto's not going to be going into the season hoping to find something more consistent at second base.
He is right now going at ADP 430. So he's obviously somebody that's not, you don't have to spend a lot to take a chance on him, especially if he is the starting second baseman for one of the better offenses in baseball here, Vinny. Davis Schneider was surprisingly one of the few players that you had not known much about. I feel like you're as in tune to not even just young players, but just all baseball players in general. So what are your thoughts just digging into him a little bit?
Yeah, Davis Schneider is one of these cases where looking at stats, that's not the end-all be-all. Like, there's underlying metrics that people like me and people that do this professionally don't see. Like, if I looked over his stats today, like, if you were to tell me Davis Schneider did what he did this year after looking at his minor league stats from before this year, I'd tell you you're crazy. There's no way the 28th round pick from 2017 is absolutely blowing up the AL East. On top of having an 80 grade mustache. That thing is gnarly.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, like, it's kind of weird because he did have this breakout, but it's the big question mark is the commitment by the Blue Jays. That's going to be the big, telltale sign with him is, are they going to go out and get a second baseman, or do they believe so much in this little sample size that they're going to keep him? Like, if we're looking at data, like 52% fly ball rate is okay. That's a little sketchy. The 50.7% pull rate is also sketchy, but a 17.8% barrel rate and a 369 BABIP is pretty, mind-boggling for this guy who, before last year, was a sub 230 minor league hitter. So he's, someone to monitor and probably maybe stash away on your bench until we get like a definitive answer, which I don't think we'll get that until potentially a couple weeks into spring training. But the little breakout sample size is something to really not overthink, because he showed some stuff that, oh my God, I'm losing my train of thought, but it's not a fluke. Like it's not stats that would say it's a fluke. Like he did struggle, but that's the league figuring him out. So we don't really know yet. We have to see more. It's small sample size, but it's very interesting as someone to monitor.
Yeah, Davis Schneider will be someone to keep an eye on. Again, the ADP right now is pretty good. So if you do decide to take a chance on him, if you're drafting right now, if he doesn't end up being much, or, it looks like he was more in September, it's not going to cost you as much as some of the other players we're talking about tonight. The next player is somebody that plays for one of the more high-profile teams in baseball, and he even looked like he was going to be one of the breakout players this year. And that's rookie James Outman of the Los Angeles Dodgers, who batted .248, .353, .437, 23 homers, 70 RBIs. You look at those numbers with the 16 stolen bases, and those season-long numbers for a rookie are pretty solid. He was even a Rookie of the Year finalist for this year, which, as Vinny was scoffing at before the show, was a joke that they even had other finalists outside of Corbin Carroll. But he also won Rookie of the Month in April. He has a lot of accolades for this year. He hit .289 in April with a .966 OPS. But after that torrid start to the year, he followed that up with a .551 OPS over 166 plate appearances in May and June, and then an .852 OPS over 292 plate appearances the rest of the season. He plays an elite center field, which is not really good for fantasy, but that just how good he is in center field. If you want to look at how his defensive metrics are, they are really good. That will keep his bat in the lineup. But he had a .343 BABIP this year, which I think also shows there is some regression coming. But he does have speed. The 16 stolen bases show that. He does have power. 23 homers show that. And base running is also something that comes in handy with him to score some runs here. His hard contact numbers are never going to be great. 39.9% hard hit percentage, was 44th percentile of all hitters this year. And I think the biggest issue with him ultimately is going to be his strikeout rate. 31.9%, one of the worst in all of baseball. And he was a liability against left-handed pitching. A .665 OPS over 154 plate appearances against lefties. And that's compared to an .836 OPS against righties this year. So a lot of holes in his game, a lot of inconsistencies overall. But James Outman, when the season was said and done, was a solid contributor if you started him the whole year in fantasy. Vinny, James Outman, somebody that I think, depending on maybe the cost, could be worth someone looking at. He talked about really making some changes when he was struggling in the middle of the season, and it seems like it really helped down the stretch here. He stopped being as aggressive and just swinging at everything and being a little bit more selective, which seemed like it helped his batting average, obviously. But what are your thoughts here on James Outman?
Never really been a big fan of James Outman. The most tantalizing thing about him is pretty much the power speed combo. Like, he easily could be a 20-20 guy. And that's pretty much it. I don't think he ever, bats above like 260, maybe 255. Like, he should be viewed like the same category as like a Harrison Bader or like a Tyler O'Neill. Like, he's good defensively, the power's there, the speed's there, but then if we're talking about everything else, liability. The advantage with him right now is that there's really no one pressuring him for a spot in that outfield with LA unless they start making some big deals in the offseason. It's pretty much he's holding it down there. So, I mean, if he's going late enough, yeah, I'll take a shot on him, but he's not the type of player that I would personally target.
His ADP right now is 184. He's going around Isaac Paredes, Dalton Varsho, Jonathan India, Jackson Holiday's going in this range, Nolan Gorman. Those are the type of hitters that you are picking between. And I have to be honest with you, Vinny, I think he'd be one of those guys I might fade with those type of guys around him. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, especially with Paredes and Gorman there. I don't know why Jackson Holiday's that high yet. We haven't really heard a definitive answer on if he's going to be up early this year. That's very early, so I would take him over Jackson Holiday. But yeah, like I like the other names around him more than I like Outman.
LC, James Outman, are you in or are you Outman?
I was surprised at how much I liked what I saw when I started to dig into him. But the one thing that we touched on here was that K rate, that 32% K rate, that's backed up with that 75% well below average zone contact rate. I like his defense. I like that the Dodgers stuck with him. They gave him the plate appearances all season. I like the power speed. The comp to Tyler O'Neill is I think a very good comp, and he's in a certain type of construction he could be very valuable. On that Dodgers team last season, he scored 86 runs. He had 70 RBIs. It's 156 runs plus RBIs. That is a very good runs plus RBIs total, and it's all lineup dependent. So with someone like Outman, you're going to be looking at he hit 248. He could hit 225. But with that elite defense, that might come with 550 plate appearances, 150 runs plus RBIs, plus 2020. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's better than Dalton Varsho. That's for sure. I would take him over Dalton Varsho. I don't know why Varsho's being looked at the way he is after how disappointing he was last season.
But he's not catcher eligible anymore.
He's not catcher eligible anymore. But I like what he gives you. I'd like to see it a little bit cheaper, but you're not going to get power speed like that for cheaper. It's just that can you stomach that batting average? Can you stomach the swinging strikes? It's tough. I liked the lineup that he's in with his skills. If he was on a worse team, I'd be fading him pretty hard, much harder than that. But I like the fact that I think he's going to give you those runs plus RBIs. That lineup's going to produce.
James Outman will be somebody that's I feel like he'll be one of those hard you're in or you're out on him. Like you'll see people bring him up like, nope, strikeout rate was horrible. I don't believe in this change, completely out of him in the top 200. Or those people like, hey, like I need power and speed. I think that's something that he'll consistently give. I don't mind taking him as my 4th or 5th outfielder and calling it a day. So I'm sure there'll be a lot more coming with him this offseason. Let's go to the next player here, our only catcher on the list here, and that's Luis Campusano of the San Diego Padres. 319, 356, 491 triple slash, 7 homers and 30 RBIs. The second time I'm going to shout out Eric Cross for a stat that he put out about him. Him and Gabriel Moreno were the only 2 catchers last year with a Z contact rate above 90% and a hard hit rate above 40%. So him and Gabriel Moreno were the only 2 that had those type of numbers, which is obviously incredibly good to have those 2 things together. But let's not confuse who Luis Campusano is. He's a strictly offensive catcher at this point in his career. He's thrown out only 1 base runner in 30 stolen base attempts. And that's last season, and that's pretty bad. He's 1 for 42 lifetime in cost steals, just in general. So he's not someone throwing out runners. So if his bat is in the lineup, or if he's in the lineup, it's because of his hitting. He put up an 847 OPS in 49 games, which is very good for a catcher. But he's somebody that looks like the power is for real. He maintained a high average by shortening up and putting balls in play with 2 strikes. And he really improved last season compared to his 2022 numbers. He cut his K rate down 10%. His chase rate went down 15%. His whiff rate went down 13%. Swinging strike rate was cut in half. His contact rate overall went up 13%, and his Z contact went up 6%. He was plus 300 batting average in all 3 pitch types he faced. He just seems like if everything plays out, that he would be a top 10 catcher next season. So LC is if Campusano is getting the playing time, is he a top 10 catcher in your eyes?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a pretty easy call, and it is the playing time, which is gonna. It's that defense you talked about, which would be the thing that would not get him those plate appearances. I love him. I love the batting average. I love the zone contact. I love the fact that he pulls the ball a lot and he pulls it for power. Um, I think that he's the type of he could be 270, 20 home runs next season. But if he's not getting 500 plate appearances, he's not going to be getting the type of runs and RBIs that you'll need to be like a top 5, top 4, top 3 catcher. If he's getting the plate appearances, I think he's easily a top 10 catcher. He's going well outside of the top 10 catchers. I think he's a very good value where he's going right now for team construction. But yeah, that 1 for 42. Unless they start giving him some DH, I have a hard time seeing him getting to the plate appearances that I'd like to see him get to.
It did help that Blake Snell and one other Padres pitcher, which at the top of my head I forgot, both preferred him catching for them. Obviously, Blake Snell's a free agent, so that he might not have that say. But there were a couple pitchers that actually liked pitching to him, and how certain pitchers like pitching to certain catchers. So if that develops where they have good chemistry, he could keep his bat in the lineup. But he was working with Gary Sanchez last year. It could be one of those things where maybe he catches 3 days, DHs like 3 days, and maybe has something like that. Maybe mix in some first base here and there. Who knows? But I think if he's hitting like that, they're going to find ways to get his bat in the line, even if it's not a catcher. It's just he was too good last year. And as you had mentioned, Elsie, the value there is there for him. He's the catcher 17 right now, going at pick 217. So if you're really waiting on catcher, he's a great target. As a second catcher, he's absolutely dynamite, I think. And again, if he just has to hit somewhat near what he was hitting this year, and they'll find ways to keep his bat in the lineup at DH, first base, whatever it may be. What are your thoughts on Luis Campusano, Vinny?
Campusano really seems like a better version of Alejandro Kirk if he does convert to a DH role. I would like to see him take some run at first base, to be honest, but I don't think we'll see that happen. But yeah, the biggest concern is that the Padres brass, they need, new manager might look at him and be like, hey, let's go get a veteran, catcher to pair with him. And then we're talking about potentially his bats cut in half. Like, there's so many situations where this could go very wrong for Campusano, which scares me away. But you cannot deny the bat at all. Like, the bat is one of the best you'll find at the catching position. It's just, there's too much uncertainty with him that probably scares me away. Like, if that goes away and, we can get a confirmation that he's their guy or he's going to play some different roles, then I'm 100% bought in. But right now, there's too much uncertainty, and I'm probably going to stay away.
Even at the catcher 17?
Yeah, I would. At catcher 17, maybe not, but I'm just saying once people are going to start looking into him and see this bat, and they're going to try and play a narrative that he's going to be their everyday catcher, and then something's going to happen and it's going to fall off the rails. They're going to go sign so-and-so, and then there's too many uncertainties for me. But 17, I would go, but I'm confident that he'll probably start rising up.
He's already rising. I think he's rising now. He was, as we were talking about, David and I were talking before the show, I had the first 9 drafts. He was being at like 240, 250. So he's up, a solid 20 picks right now already in the past, 9 drafts have made the average jump up 20 picks. So I think he is starting to rise. The potential is so juicy, but now one of the reasons that he's rising is because you're looking at 50-team drafting holds. You're getting 4 catchers in these teams. So if he flames out a little bit, you're not quite holding the bag without any value.
Yeah, we'll see where his value goes, but hopefully if he hits anywhere like he did last year, the Padres will keep his bat in the lineup and you'll get the benefit of him being catcher, but he might not play full-on catcher all season. So we'll see how that plays out there. This next player burned a lot of people this year, including myself, who took him in my lottery ticket at the beginning of the year, which if you haven't done it, put $5 down, bet all 6 award winners. $5 pays out like 300 grand. So it's a fun way to just put a nice little ticket out there. This was my pick for NL Rookie of the Year, Jordan Walker, at 276, 342, 445, triple slash, 16 homers, 51 RBIs, and 7 stolen bases. Got off to a torrid start in spring training, a 956 OPS in his first 16 games, and he had a multi-homer game in spring training. Opens his MLB career with a 12-game hitting streak, 20 hits in his first 20 games. Everything kind of looked pretty good, but the power wasn't really much there or wasn't really drawing walks. And then he posted just a 602 OPS over that time. He struggled, went to AAA, had a red hot 10-game stretch down there, got called back up, and it really seemed like he kind of figured things out. During Walker's first 20 games, he only had 5 extra base hits, a 377 slugging percentage, 60% ground ball rate. Then he gained he was able to kind of sit back more, was really able to get his bat to come through the zone to get extra power. Again, he talks about, if you want to look it up, anybody that's listening, he goes through and talks about how he was able to gain more power in his swing, working with the coaches down at AAA Memphis, and just kind of being able to kind of angle, raise his raise his launch angle, if I could speak. So over his last 30 games, that really showed a 308, 380, 548 triple slash, 154 WRC plus, a 21.5% K rate. Steamer projects him for 21 homers next season, but he really looks like he kind of found his stride down the stretch here, Vinny. Jordan Walker was a name we were all excited about, very underwhelming for most of the year. Do we get the Jordan Walker this coming year that we were hoping we got all last season?
Yeah, I think so. But it's kind of funny. We're talking like Jordan Walker being underwhelming, but still put up like a 276 average with home runs and decent amount of speed. But yeah, I think this is the year that we put it all together, especially with Walker. You know, the Cardinals kind of handled him a little weird to start the season, which if we're talking about the mental side of the game, that could really put a toll on, a young guy. Like there was the talk out of camp was, oh, he's going to break camp. He's, the future of the franchise. He's going to lead us to, you can't be doing that with a kid. It plays a toll on them. But he went down, did his time in the trip and AAA, and then came back up and was a completely different player. Like they improved power, his hard hit. Like we're talking about 42.5% hard hit rate and a max EV of 114.3. Like the power is there. This is a special bat. It's going to take time to mature. It's going to take time to figure it out. But I think the second year breakout is where we really see Jordan Walker really blow up, because he's going to have to take on a very lackluster Cardinals team that's getting very old, and he's going to have to start taking the reins here. But
yeah, I mean, you're right. The Cardinals were probably is it fair to say they were the most underwhelming team in baseball last year? Maybe them or the Mets.
Yeah, I would say it was. I'd probably say it's the Cardinals look at that roster. You're talking about Arenado and Goldschmidt, and you guys almost finished last in the division. Like,
he's right now. He's ranked 118 ADP. So plenty of people are also buying this. There's a lot of Spencer Torkelson, Tanner Bybee, Cedric Mullins, Seiya Suzuki. There are a lot of good players in this range. So you are paying up for potentially the bounce. You want to put bounce back in quotes here. Like you said, Vinny, not a horrible year overall. LC, Jordan Walker at that price, are you in or you out?
I'm in. I wrote in my notes, wouldn't be surprised if he blows up next year. And if he doesn't blow up, if he gives you what he gave last season, just over more plate appearances, it's worth that draft pick anyways, I think. He's it's basically what Seiya Suzuki did last year. So I think the potential for more power is there. I think we could be looking at a 270, 280, close to 30 home runs. I really like him, and the potential, that 80 grade power is in his bat. He needs to pull the ball more than he did last season. He really sprayed the ball around. If he starts pulling it, then that power is just going to start showing up in big numbers. I really like where he's going. He's got that good zone contact. He doesn't strike out a lot. Yeah, I think he's going to be a breakout next year.
Yeah, someone that's going to be very fun to draft. And we will close out this segment now with our last player we're going to talk about tonight, Noelvi Marte, who you remember the longtime Seattle Mariner prospect, traded in the Luis Castillo trade, really underwhelmed in his first part in the minor leagues with the Cincinnati Reds, but he got called up for the last 35 games of the year starting August 19th. From that point, 316, 366, 456 triple slash with 3 home runs, 15 RBIs, 6 stolen bases. Probably somebody that's going to hit at the bottom of that loaded Cincinnati Reds lineup, but really kind of came into his own there. As we mentioned, the lineup's exciting. There's a lot of good players there. Their counting stats should be there. They're in arguably the best ballpark in baseball. And he's going to be somebody that's kind of more maybe flying under the radar because you have Christian Encarnacion Strand and Ellie De La Cruz and Jonathan India has been producing for them. Matt McLean, obviously. So he could be one that falls through the cracks that maybe could give you some nice numbers here, Vinny. What do you think about Noelvi Marte for 2024?
I'll say right now, out of those names you listed, I'm targeting Marte over all those other guys. Just because what he did in the short sample size, pretty mind-boggling. We're talking about 40% pull rate, a 20% oppo rate. How about a max AUV of 115.6? This is the type of bat that's going to be overlooked because of the players around him that I think is going to excel or, if not, explode after a full season. Like the track record with Marte was always he was, coming out of the J15 class of like 19 or whenever, when he was just starting with the Mariners, he was too small to play shortstop. It was too small this, too small this. We go into 2022-ish. He's too big. He's too slow to play shortstop. He's put on so much weight and all this, muscle. They move him to third base. They tweak with his bat path. They tweak with his I can't think of the term, but his launch angle. They mess with his launch angle, and we're looking at a completely different hitter now. We're looking at big power, big contact, and he plays a solid third base. Like, I was watching a lot of video today. I came up with a comp of, be ready for this if you've been around for a while in baseball, Juan Uribe. He reminds me so much of Juan Uribe that it's almost scary. Like, he's very good making solid, hard contact while playing a solid third base and being bigger for the position. This is a kid that could easily jump up, 150 spots, 200 spots come after a breakout season extra. Like, we could be looking at him similar to we're looking at like a Casas or someone like that. Like, he has the tools to do it, and I think he's being overlooked, and this is the guy.
Like you mentioned, he's probably the last of all the studs going. He's going on the ADP right now of pick 156. So, again, way after Ellie De La Cruz, way after Matt McLean, not way after Christian Encarnacion Strand, about 20-ish picks difference. But, yeah, you're getting the best value of, again, a loaded lineup. So I'm right there with you, Vinny. I think and he's plays third base, which is normally also a very shallow position in general to draft. So there's a lot going for him there. Elsie, do you differ on any part of this? Are you going to be in on Marte? Or are you out?
I'm in on him. He's got good speed. So, that value at third base, I think he's only going to be a third baseman next year because he didn't play. He played 30 games at third and only 4 games at short once he got the bigs. So I think he's probably only going to be third base eligible, which is fine with me. I think he's a fine third baseman, or even more solid if you can get him as your CI. He gives you decent speed. I'm thinking he's going double-digit steals next season. He could touch 20 home runs, but I like that batting average, 85% zone contact rate. Produced that batting average of about 316 is what he hit in his small sample up in the bigs. I think he could easily go 280 with decent pop, decent speed, in a very good lineup. I really like where he's going. I think that it's the type of all-around profile that that third base does not produce very much of. So I think he's a nice value pick there, and he gives you a different type of profile than you're usually getting.
Yeah, Noelvi Marte is someone that I think we're all in on. I think we're pretty much in lockstep with a lot of the guys we've talked about tonight, and they will be, obviously this is within a few weeks after the World Series, so I'm sure that these guys will probably have their ADPs rise over the next couple months. So if you are doing drafts now, these are guys that we all agree, for the most part, try to get them where they're at now, because it's only going to get harder to draft them where they're at. But great values and some guys that you should consider for your redraft leagues next year. And if you have dynasty questions, of course, then we will always answer those too. But I think for dynasty purposes, a lot of these guys are also we're kind of holding and looking to figure out what we're going to do with that at another time. But Doc is actually popping in the room because we are at that part of the show. We are at the game of the week. So Doc was going to take the week off, but it was his week to do the game. So he's popping in to give us all a challenge here. And we had so much fun last week doing Triple Plays Pictionary that we're going to do it again this week, where we're going to flash pictures on the board of old school players, and it's going to be our job to figure out who can guess them. So if you are listening to the podcast at about the 56:30 mark, you will be able to play along on YouTube if you would like. So Eric, you want to take it away?
Yeah. Don't skip out on my week of game. That's the unwritten rule of Triple Play Fantasy. So similar to previous weeks, I'm going to put a pitcher on the board. They had at least one relevant season. And how it's going to work is you guys are going to DM me your answer, and then we will take turns going. I have 10 players and no tiebreakers because I don't think that we're going to have a tiebreaker. I had to retire from this game because I was too good. So,
Okay.
Dude, come on. It's true. So first guy.
Oh, wow.
That's not who I think it is. He played for the Rockies?
You want me to throw this in private chat or?
Yeah, send me a DM.
That is not who I think it is it? I'll be shocked.
I don't know. We'll see.
That looks to be 100% him. All right, I'm pretty sure this is him, but I don't remember him playing for this team.
Just send me it already, David. I'm so...
Okay, I sent it to you.
Okay.
That literally looks just like him. Don't put it in the whoever put it in the private chat.
That was me. I don't. Hold on. I'm trying to figure out how to send it to.
Yeah.
How do I send it to you? Hold on.
Twitter DM.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
Twitter
send me a
DM. I asked private
Come on.
chat. All right, hold on. I got you.
All right. So all answers are in. David, I'm going to start with you.
I said Matt Garza.
Vinny?
I said Garza.
And Art? Art's
Muted.
on mute.
He's so shitty.
It's not Garza, but I don't know who it is. I put Jason Isringhausen.
All right, so they all are starting pitchers, but none of you got it right. David, Matt Garza was on the podcast. It's a shame you don't know what he looks like. This is Jason Hamill.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
I saw the beard. and
Yeah,
Yeah,
mostly known for
Beverly's-
his Cub days.
We have Beverly Wells playing, or Barry
Beverly
Wall is
Wallace.
playing along. Jeff, that's a better guess than me.
I never noticed how much he looks like Matt
Beverly,
Garza.
welcome to the pod.
All right, number 2.
Oh my God. I know him. Holy moly. These are all starting pitchers.
All starting pitchers.
Starting pitchers?
Yep.
This is whack, dude. I know who he is. This is making me mad. Holy moly.
Gosh, you know what? I'm gonna hate this. I'm gonna enjoy this game for the rest of the time just because of David's commentary.
Yeah, like I literally know this dude.
I can't think of the name. I know the face, but I
All
can't
right,
I can't put a name to the face.
Send me a name. Come on. This is 2 out of 10. We're ticking down.
I'm rooting for Beverly in this game.
I know
That's
this
what I'm
isn't
rooting
right,
for.
but I'm gonna put it anyway. This actually hurts because me and Vinny both know that face.
All right, Vinny, waiting on yours.
I think I'm completely wrong, but
I think you're picking
All
more
right,
irrelevant
all answers
players
are
than I
in, Vinny.
did.
Your guy.
Glendon Rush, but it's not.
Art,
I put Bud Norris.
David.
I put Brad Penny.
It is Brad Penny.
Nice.
No, I didn't know he played for the Tigers.
Yep, he played like 2 seasons for the Tigers.
Nice.
So David,
Yeah.
David winning so far. All right,
We're back. That's a really hard picture to tell.
All right, you know what? I'll find enough. I'll come back to him then, and I'll have.
Okay.
This is number 4.
Bro,
Oh
your
my
pictures
goodness.
are your pictures are horrible.
This is a fine picture. You can tell who it is, and it's also an iconic moment.
Oh yeah, I can see with the blood. Oh, you took it off. Oh man.
I tried to make this an easy one.
I think I know who that is. Because now I remember the incident.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's a bad cut.
He's a happy man, I think, right now.
Yeah. He's very, very
All right, let's start getting the answers, and I got David's.
Once they're all in, I also will. Beverly submitted her answer as well.
All right, just waiting on you, Vinny.
I sent it on Twitter, but go ahead. I'll just say them through the thing.
All right, Art, you're first.
I don't know who it is.
Beverly says Chris Young.
Boof Bonzer. It's going to be right one of these days.
David?
I said Chris Young.
And Vinny?
It's Chris Young.
Vinny, I actually did not get your Chris Young, but I believe you.
All right.
That the 6'10" Chris Young?
The 6'10" Chris Young.
Rangers GM.
Who is only 44, but looks extremely old and washed.
Nice job, Beverly. That was a good pull.
All
If
right,
I'm
so
not mistaken, that same season, him and Derek Lee got into a nice brawl in Wrigley.
they did.
That's 2 big boys.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was a nice trip down memory lane. But
Shout out Derek
go,
Lee. Almost won the Triple Crown that one year.
Let's go to number 5.
Ugh. I think I know who that is. I think.
I know David can't go without making a noise once.
Eric, if I get this, I'm God.
It's like
What? I'm God.
I'm just impressed if I get it. The name just flashed to me in a pan. Put it up,
All right.
put the picture up again so Beverly can get it.
All right. Hold on.
Oh man, I think Beverly got it, and I get the wrong one. She's so right.
Or
my
Vinny.
God.
Oh my God, he played with Michael Pelfrey. Oh my God.
Michael Pelfrey. Nice ball. Nice.
That
name.
was who I typed in.
Yeah, Michael Pelfrey was 34.
That was who
I'll
I
give you
typed in
10
was
10
Pelfrey.
seconds, Vinny.
His last name. Oh my God.
6, 5, 4,
Is
3.
it Jack Maine? Jack Maine?
Incorrect. John Maine.
Oh my God. I
David
knew it.
said Mike Pelfrey, and Art said Jason Isringhausen.
I'm going to get one of these right.
Oh,
Jason
Beverly-
Isringhausen is not in
that
this
was
game, Art.
Beverly is hip with that. So also Beverly's got 2. I've got 2. Vinny's
Beverly's
got 1.
3,
I
I
couldn't
think.
remember his first name.
No, because
Beverly's got
Beverly said Jeff Hoffman for the first one.
Okay, well, there have been 4.
Yes,
so,
Chris Young and John Maine.
Chris
wasn't
Young,
there for
John
the first.
Maine.
Beverly wasn't there for the first.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. Yeah, because she was for the guards or for Brad Penny.
Beverly's killing it.
All right, number 6. He's the 5th member of the pod tonight.
Oh my God, that face! Hold on.
David's internal dialogue each time.
This is generally making me mad.
Is that?
This is actually the first one I legit have no clue. Beverly said no clue too. Oh, she stopped her too.
He's the type of guy who you don't answer the door when you see him. That's who this is. You see him knocking, you're like, don't open the door.
If you told me he was a porn star, I'd believe you.
Y'all are sick.
What? Look at his face.
I would make a joke like that.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have any answers in
I'm
yet.
sending mine now.
I don't have any in yet.
I'm sending mine.
What?
I don't know. I know this is wrong.
All right, Vinny and Art, waiting on you guys.
I know this is wrong.
You definitely picked harder players than I did last week.
I thought he was going to pick I don't know. Maybe I overestimated my ability here.
I definitely picked.
All right, Vinny, I haven't gotten yours yet.
Jeff Suppan, but it's not Jeff Suppan.
It is close though. David, who'd you say?
The Diamond Stone.
And Art.
I wrote Wade Miley, although I know it's not Wade Miley.
It's not Wade Miley. It's Chris Capuano.
That's what he looked like. I don't even remember him looking like that.
Better known for his time on the Rays.
Yeah.
I don't remember him looking like that.
All right. Hopefully this is an easier
That's such a random one though. Chris Capuano.
He had a couple good seasons.
He did. That's true.
I know. I'm pretty sure I know who this is.
This is an easier one.
Is it?
I think David got it.
Is it starting pitchers and relievers or just?
No, it's just starters.
Okay, so I don't know it then. Hold on. I was gonna guess Brian Fuentes.
Wah, wah. Okay,
I have a guess.
This is hard.
I think I'm thinking way too back. That's my problem.
I literally thought it was Brian Fuentes until it was
All right, Vinny, waiting on you.
All right, you can go. I'll say mine aloud.
All right.
Go ahead, Vinny.
Is it Ubaldo Jimenez? I don't think it is.
Nope.
No, I'm
he
thinking
had like a
David.
longer face.
Yeah.
I said Kyle Loesch.
Art, I feel like you were closest.
Julius Chassin.
Jair Jurgens.
Oh.
If you would put that with a Braves uniform, I would have got it.
Yeah,
But
that would be too easy.
Wow.
But I guess I overestimated my ability in this game.
Wow.
You're putting like ones that are hard for you, and you're like a savant at this. You're like Rain Man at people's faces.
Oh, Art, you're the only one that did both weeks. Were my players easier?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so I'm not crazy here. I'm like,
All right, I think the last three are going to be easy, though. David is still winning 2-1.
I only have two.
Yeah. All right, we have four left.
Oh, I know who that is. Let's go. I know who that is. I know a lot of old White Sox players. I'll be disappointed if this one's wrong because I
Vinny,
feel
are
like
you just going first each time without DMing me?
Yeah, just I DM'd you on Triple Play and the other one, but it just didn't go through. Is it John Danks?
It is John Danks.
Yeah.
who I put as well.
That's who David put. And Art,
I put
John
World Series hero John Garland.
All
I like
right.
John Garland.
John
too.
Danks was like the face of the White Sox for 2 years when they were absolutely atrocious.
Yep.
He's a good pitcher. I didn't know what he looked like.
That was the first good one you put for a
Yeah.
while.
Thank you. By the way, John Main works at a Ford car dealership in North Carolina.
How'd you know that?
When I typed him in, it shows his Facebook. He's a manager there now.
Are you sure it's the same John Main?
It is still the same John Main.
We should go visit him.
Good for him.
Maybe I will when I'm in North Carolina.
Yeah, you should. I'll be disappointed if you don't.
He's on
This
his
guy.
CJ Wilson trend.
Oh,
Oh, okay. I think I got this one. Oh, maybe.
I think I know who it is.
I'm not. I'm no longer confident in any of my answers now.
All right.
And by the way, I think the Chris Young one was a pretty easy one.
No,
That was
Chris
easy.
Young. Chris Young was good. I think Brad Penny was decent. John Maine wasn't even bad. I like the John Maine one was fair.
I
would say
thought y'all would know what Chris Capuano looked like.
that was a really bad poll.
I think you guys just didn't follow baseball as close. All right, I got Art and David's answers. Vinny, if you want to say it out here.
Is that Ryan Vogelsong?
It is Ryan Vogelsong.
That was good, Vinny. I said Tip Hudson, but I was like, damn, I don't think that's
Yeah,
right.
I thought I was gonna butcher his first name. I couldn't remember if it was Ryan or Brian, so I was like, ah.
I wrote
All
I wrote Derek Rodriguez, but I knew that was wrong.
Good old D-Rod. All right, we got 2 pitchers left. And I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint for the last 2. These are the teams that you would probably know them from.
Okay, that'll help.
Okay.
Vinny and I are tied right now.
Is it too blurry?
No.
Yeah, it's a little.
All right, let me go to the other one then. This is number 3 that we were originally supposed to have. Wait, actually,
weren't
that's
you gonna
the
put
whole
it?
photo.
Weren't you gonna put? Oh, okay.
There's a new photo.
I don't even know if that's any better. I'd go to the other one.
And the timeline gives it away. It's Florida Marlins.
Holy crap. I like the other picture better.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Looks like he's farting.
God.
Oh, I know. Oh, you know what? I do know who that is. He was a Cub.
Oh, Vinny gave me a hint. Okay, hold on.
Was he, Vinny?
Yeah, he was.
I guess we'll see.
I'm pretty confident on this one.
Oh wait, hold on. I'm gonna have my guess. What was his first name? Oh, okay, I got it. I don't think this is right, but
Are you even gonna send in a guess at this point?
I don't know who that is. I have no idea.
All right, Vinny.
Is it Chris Volstead?
It is Chris Volstead.
Jeez. Good call, Vinny.
Oh man, he was like our big free agent signing in like 2011.
I would have never. I said Josh Johnson.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. All right. Well, Vinny, you're up by 1 going into our final one.
Ooh.
Do you guys want a hint on this one or no?
I've never been known to be scared from a hint.
Vinny, do you want a hint?
Yeah, I'll take a hint. Why not?
His best season was with the Rangers. Those are the teams. That's the only team he played for. And in 2012, he went 18-11 with a 3.29 ERA and was 8th in the Cy Young voting.
Oh, these Nikes.
That's what I feel like. 18-11. That's a good season. Finished for Cy Young voting. He played a total of 8 years.
Can you put his picture up again?
All with the Rangers.
All with the Rangers.
All with the Rangers.
Man, early 2000s Rangers pitchers.
That makes me want to change my answer.
Art, just stun everybody with this one.
This is man.
This really separates the men from the boys.
You're gonna say the name, and I'm like, I wasn't even that mad I didn't get Chris Volstead.
Now you're a man.
Or Ryan Vogelsong.
Man.
I hope this one doesn't make me mad. I literally have no idea. I'm trying to remember even a Texas pitcher from 10 years ago.
All right, well, I guess I'll have an idea if I do this game again of where to reference from.
I've taken the L on it. I don't even have a guess for you.
Vinny, do you have a guess?
Was it Mark Lowe?
Matt Harrison.
Oh,
I barely even remember him.
Oh yeah. He was I remember when he got drafted. I think he went to Rice University, if I'm not mistaken. Remember when he got drafted? I put Derek Holland, but I think Derek Holland played with the Angels after playing with the Rangers. So when you said he only played with the Rangers,
I think he was traded for Cole Hamels, if I'm not mistaken,
Is
back
that
in
right?
2015.
Matt Harrison, I think, did he play for Rice?
I mean, David, you got 3 out of 10, so it's not like it was incredibly challenging.
That was definitely not to what it should have been my standard.
All right, well, I know this for next time.
You got to pick the right set of players there, Doc. There's an art to it.
Well, you know what? Like I said, I thought I was like Ben Sheets. That is way too easy. I can't believe David would even throw something like that. All 10 of these are going to be challenging, but
they were all challenging. Yes,
there were a few layups, but I would say for the most part.
I mean, do you want an easy game?
No,
that John main poll was pretty good. I'll give you that one.
Thank you.
Did Beverly win?
Beverly tapped out because they were too difficult. Eric made them too hard. Well, if you guys want to play again about the 56-minute mark on YouTube, 56:30, you can go ahead and follow along. I believe the high score was 4, right? 4 from Vinny.
Nice job, Vinny.
Yeah, so Vinny got 4 out of the 10. See if you can do better than Vinny and follow along on our YouTube. And while you're there, please like and subscribe to the channel if you are not already. There's tons of great content. There is basketball content. There is football content, baseball content. There's also prospect content. Vinny, I believe you guys recording this week or next week?
Yeah,
this
I
week?
think we're recording this week, yeah.
So there'll be some more minor league baseball talk as well. So please make sure you are part of the Triple Play Fantasy family. Check us out on YouTube or wherever you find your podcast. But for Doc, for a little cheesecake for Vinny, I'm D. Mendy. We're going to make like a bread truck and we're going to haul these buns. Talk to you guys next week.